Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gann, alongside my partner, Jack and Nicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you haven't had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingnog, WJS for article and video updates. We're here to talk about playoff teams,
Yeah,
man,
we are.
specifically teams that didn't make it in the 2020 playoffs, but could slip in the 2021 playoffs. So let's start right with the AFC. Who you got going for us first?
Yeah, so our first team in the AFC that we're going to be looking at is a team that we talk about a lot on the show, the Los Angeles Chargers. Last year they were third in the AFC West, 7-9, but Justin Herbert coming off Rookie of the Year, they're getting Derwin James back. They lost a lot of games, I believe 7 within one possession just last year, which is an incredible difference for them. If they're able to win a couple of those games. The Chiefs being in there, it's always tough. The Chargers are going to have to beat them unless they're going to be fighting for a wild card. But this team is stacked up. I really honestly think that, the 17th hardest schedule for them, they have a chance to go do that. They're not playing too many tough teams. They were able to do a lot of different things now. They're able to, attack on both the offensive and defensive side. They have their franchise quarterback in post Phillip Rivers in place. These guys are like ready for the next step. We thought they were ready for the next step last year, but those, special teams woes, uncontrollable things, hard to control. The loss of Hunter Henry does make me a little worried, but I think this year Austin Eckler really steps up. I straight up think that dude goes for like 1,300 scrimmage yards this year. No lie. I think that last year, they had 4 running backs. They even had Kalen Balaj playing starting
He
running
got
back for
injured. He
them.
got injured.
You know, so last year was not what they were looking for. I think this year it is. What about
Now,
you? Who's your guys?
I love it. Another team that we keep talking that we have talked a lot about, Miami Dolphins. I said last year that they were going to do better. They surprised me by doing so much better, finishing with 10-6, placing second in the AFC East. I love what they're doing after the draft, man. They have a great wide receiver core: Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, Jalen Waddle. They got Will Fuller too. Tua's looking solid. Malcolm Brown was a solid free agency signing for them. He was with
Definitely.
the Rams last year. It's going to help us keep that running back by committee game going throughout the season. I love what they've done defensively over Brian Flores. Everyone has really rallied around him. The draft was solid. They got Jalen Phillips later on in the draft after they got Waddle. That's going to help out their defense. And they got Javon Holland to fill that safety spot after letting Rashad Jones go. So a lot of positive things. And they have definitely rallied around, again, Brian Flores. He is the guy. And when you get
Absolutely.
blessed with the 27th hardest schedule, your chances to make it to the playoffs when there's 7 teams allowed in a 17-game season immediately skyrockets for me. Keep your eyes out on the Dolphins as a team that surprises and makes it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a division rival myself. They also are tied for the 27th hardest schedule in the league. It's and they're being run by your guy Vic Fangio, somebody that you hold in very high praise, and it's because he's been able to now put this team back together a little bit. They have a sick offensive core. They got Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, who we mentioned in our last video. We got, Cortland Sutton coming back, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. These are young, hungry, receiving corp guys. And then on the defense, you got Surtain in that first pick. You got Kyle Fuller. That secondary is getting locked up with Justin Simmons in the middle. And then you got Chubb and Miller. Can't really emphasize how much it's going to be on this defense for them to win. But, it's going to be interesting. They were last in their division last year, but they're a talented team. They dealt with some major injuries. They played a game with no quarterback. I'm kind of interested to see what they do in this 17-game season. I won't lie, they're interesting to me. Another thing, like I said, with the Chargers, you got Kansas City in that division. You're gonna have to go through them. It's gonna be tough. If they can put up a fight, they can bother Mahomes in that offense. With this defense, I think that they're gonna be able to slip in. 7 teams, anything can happen. What
Yeah,
about
no,
you?
that defense. I think it's definitely top 10. I'll lock that in right now. Top 10
Yeah,
defense, potential to be top 5. For me, another AFC East team. It's a third place finishes New England Patriots. I don't know many coaches in the entire league of the NFL's history that could go 7-9 still after just losing the quarterback that won them 6 Super Bowls throughout their dynasty. Um, and be losing some of their biggest players during COVID,
Yeah.
like Dante Hightower and Patrick Chung, and still somehow and have a quarterback who throws under 10 touchdowns and misses games and somehow still pulls off a 7-9 record. I don't think that there are many coaches out there. So Bill Belichick, great fucking job, man. I am impressed by that season. And that being said, they're getting Kyle Van Noy back. They're getting Dante Hightower back. They're getting Patrick Chung back. Trent Brown is back in a trade. David Andrews is re-signed. Then they went out and they signed Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Matt Judon, like the Jalen Mills. He's the player list goes on and on and on for them.
Yeah.
This team is back to where they wanted to be. 19th hardest schedule, a little bit difficult, not super difficult. You got a young rookie quarterback that can really fit well in the Josh McDaniels system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sleep on the Patriots this upcoming year. That defense is going to be scary. They still have Stephon Gilmore, JC Jackson, the league leader in interceptions last year. Don't sleep on the Patriots. It was fun last year when they weren't around, but don't be surprised if they squeeze back in out of nowhere and everyone
Definitely.
gets a little pissy.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nuts. I mean, we missed the Patriots in the playoffs last year. I wouldn't say missed because we
Not
wanted
missed.
them out forever.
Yeah, it was
But-
nice. I mean,
They're
Brady
definitely
still
coming
won.
this year. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he still won, so it's somehow like the Patriots were there because Brady. But let's go on to the NFC. What teams are going to surprise that might make it into the playoffs that didn't make it last year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put my team right here, the Giants. I think that the division is weak. I think the Giants got stronger. And at the end of the day, this offense is completely revamped. We got Saquon coming back. We have Daniel in his, hopefully, his stride year. We keep talking about him and how much pressure is on him this year. You got Tony. You got the unlimited weapon in him. You have Evan Ingram, speedy tight end. You got all these guys. You signed Kenny Galladay. You get your number one guy. You got Shep and Slayton there. This team also on the defensive side impresses me. They got Xavier McKinney, Jabril Peppers, James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson. Solid secondary. Blake Martinez running the middle. Leonard Williams running the front set. I think that they can stop Dallas. I think their offense is better than any of the defenses, but Washington, obviously. And, I think that if we play Washington, I think our defense is better than their offense. So I never really take a biased stance, but for me, this is my team, and there's a reason here. They drafted well. They took this offseason and did what Giants fans wanted them to do for years and actually go for it. Show us that you're going for it. I think that they did that this year. I think with Dallas, they could be a huge threat. If Dak comes back, plays the way he did last year, everybody look out. But for right now, where we're at in May, a month after the draft, I'm liking where the Giants are at. They're my favorites right now for the division if they can find a way to get past those Washington games, which Daniel Jones actually usually plays well in.
Yeah, I think you guys by far have the most balanced team in that NFC East division, which is a good thing considering that it's not the strongest division in the entire league. Going to the NFC West, arguably the toughest division in all of football. I would say that it is. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. They placed fourth in the NFC West last year, 6-10. Now, I've been critical of them. I think that Robert Saleh not being there is going to be a huge adjustment for that defense. They have the playmakers, and they're all coming back healthy, which is huge for them, especially the defensive leader, Nick Bosa. They re-signed Jason Brett, who had a great season with them. There's possible that Sherman comes back. They have had conversations. I'm not, it might happen. It might not. And of course, they have Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL. I love that their offense has all the weapons still. That offense put up fights throughout the entire season, despite the quarterback carousel that was going on. And they got Trey Lance, who Shanahan seems like, and the entire front office seems like. I don't know when he's going to come in. There's a possibility he doesn't come in because, let's be honest, the last time Jimmy was healthy, this team was in the Super Bowl. This team was actually just about 8 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl before Patrick Mahomes put on some magic and the shoe snuck it out from underneath their feet. So I would not be surprised if 3 teams from the NFC West make it. That's the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers somehow slip in there because that defense and the way that offense can run, Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, Brandon Ayuk, I think that Deebo Samuel, there's no reason why it doesn't succeed.
Yeah, I mean, the scheme is there. Definitely. The
scheme is
there. Shanahan has proven whoever's in the backfield is going to be able to put up 30 points, and that defense is going to make sure you don't score. I'm going to say in that division, team that got better this offseason was the Arizona Cardinals. No doubt about it. We thought last season they made a splash. This offseason, they were able to do big. And you, in the last video, you were talking about Rondale Moore. I think that's a huge, huge stretch for them. Just getting a third option for him. It takes a lot of pressure off the run game, takes pressure off of Kyler. I love this defense, though. Our guy last year, Isaiah Simmons, 2020 draft, he's going to be right there in the middle. I think another year for him, especially behind JJ Watt, Chandler Jones. I think they're going to get creative with him. Like San Francisco, they've gone through changes, but they do have to deal with the division at the end of the day. They're going to have to deal with Seattle, LA, and San Francisco. And as you are with the Niners, I think that it's a change where we don't really know what exactly this team's gonna look like next year. If on paper they play the way they look on paper, I think that they can take on the Rams and the Seahawks. I do think the Rams are my favorite in this division, but Arizona has a good enough team to scheme right in. I love Hopkins, and they're able to get him the ball anytime, anywhere. I think that's a huge issue for teams like the Rams who rely on Jalen Ramsey for pass coverage. If having extra people there for him, I think having the Rondale Moore and AJ Green alongside him is going to take a lot of pressure off of him and Kyler to win games. So I love these guys. Honestly, I think that they did a great job this offseason. 13th hardest schedule, not always what you want, but that's mainly because of their division.
No, absolutely. I mean, tough one for sure. I definitely think that the division's leading in the favorites of the Rams. That offense led by Matthew Stafford is a huge upgrade over Jared Goff, and that defense number one last year. They're missing some guys, but when you have a guy like Aaron Donald and you have another guy like Jalen Ramsey, this defense is still going to produce at a very, very high level. Can't count them out for sure. I'm going to stick NFC North. I'm going to go with my Vikings. I think if there's any team outside of the Packers and the Bears in that division, it is the Vikings. If Aaron Rodgers leaves, I think that division becomes wide open for either the Bears or the Vikings to take over as the NFC North winners, which could be the thing that slips them in there, despite maybe, a 10-7 record or a 9-8 record. For me, though, I'm looking at this Vikings team. I'm excited about Patrick Peterson. I think he'll have a resurgent year. I like that we brought back in Mackenzie Alexander. Our secondary was really bad last year. And then we went out and we showed up that front line. We got Dalvin Tomlinson, your guy. We're going to get Maurice Pierce back healthy and Danielle Hunter back healthy. Now working with Anthony Barr, now back healthy, and Eric Kendricks back healthy. You hear all these guys coming back healthy. And then you pair them with the offense that has, I think definitely a top 10 wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, and definitely a top 12 wide receiver in Adam Thielen, and then a top 5 running back in Dalvin Cook, maybe top 3, but that risk might be me being biased. The problem is for me with this team is that you're relying on a rookie left tackle in Christian Darrisaw, who I have high hopes for, to solidify that blind side against Kirk Cousins. And if there's too much pressure, this offense is going to have an issue moving the ball and throwing the ball downfield. And again, we're banking on a resurgent year from Patrick Peterson, great, another 14.5 sack season from Danielle Hunter, back from an injury. We're banking on Anthony Barr, back from an injury, back to full health. There's a lot of question marks around this team, and while there's a really high ceiling for them to do well, that floor and that boom potential is there just as much. So throughout OTAs and throughout offseason and the preseason, it's going to be really telling about what this Vikings team is like. Again, I think that they have potential, but that ceiling and that boom, when you have the 5th hardest schedule, could also be there. They could implode and they could go, back to a 7-10 season, and we're looking at another early-ish draft pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally, you guys, like, it's kind of like, a crazy, like, balance beam of, just what happened, whatever's going to happen, it's going to balance
ultra
out,
great, but also ultra mediocre, I think, is the
and it's like they always kind of get through that. They'll have a great team, but then they could start 1-2. Maybe they'll lose. It's a lot, and if Aaron Rodgers is there, it obviously presents a little bit less of an opportunity for you guys to just go and take it. But definitely, we've mentioned it, in this offseason so far. Just we think that the Vikings do have the potential to make their way up into that echelon of teams where you have to say they are playoff team, like know going in. So this is a big season for both of our teams, buddy. We got to make sure they make the playoffs this year. No more sadness in December.
Yeah, hopefully not anymore. I just one. I think like one like one playoff game for us. If what's gonna happen is we're gonna end up facing each other, and it's gonna be a really tough week for us. That's what's gonna happen. Both of our teams are gonna make it, but we're gonna have to go up against one another, and it's gonna be awful.
But
But
we won't talk that whole week.
no, it's not. We won't even put out an episode. We probably will just skip over that game if it happens. But that is all the time that we have. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for listening. Again, these are playoff teams that didn't make it, that have potential to make it next year. You know, they didn't make it in 2020, so hopefully they do, man, especially the Vikings and Giants.
Yeah, it's better luck next year, but that year is coming in hot right now. So thank you all, as Sean said, for checking us out. Remember to just go to justsayingfootball.com whenever you can. Just Saying Football on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe. Show some support to the boys. And Just Saying No GWJS. Check us out for all your updates to let you know when we're posting the vids, for all your video, article updates. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Enjoy.